For all the bilingual parents out there, immigrants raising kids in a different country from your home country, this video is for you. You have been given this unique gift to pass it down to your kids, which is your mother tongue. So in this video, we're going to talk about the benefits of teaching our kids a second language, especially if you're living in a country where that language is not spoken. Second of all, what are the best strategies in teaching our kids the second language, and the top reasons why a lot of the parents that tried that at first end up failing in the end. Before we get started, I just want to clarify, this video has more of a self-reflection purpose, and I am in no position to judge anyone here because what worked for me may not have worked for other people, and each parent has their own reason as to why they decide to raise their kids bilingual or not. So what are the benefits of teaching our kids a second language? We've all heard of how it can directly benefit our brain development and our sanity in old age. There has been some studies that learning a second language or a third or a fourth can, in a way, protect your brain from developing cognitive issues, even dementia down the road. That reason alone is a huge benefit. Imagine the gift that we will be giving our kids by helping them learn the second language or third language and so on. Second benefit is, I'm going to tell you a little story about myself. I'm an immigrant in Canada. I was born in Brazil, and I've been living in Canada for the past 5 years. I have kids here. I have 4-year-old twins. And as of today, I can say for sure that they are fluent, both in French, because I live in the French side of Canada, as well as Portuguese, which is the language I speak with them. So what I'm about to share here is from my own experience. My kids are a living proof that it actually works. I hope that can be an encouragement for you if you're in doubt to carry on with your mission of teaching your kid a second language. So one of the benefits that I am able to see already is the fact that my kids are able to speak fluent Portuguese every time they go to Brazil and we all visit my family, because I don't have family here. And the fact that they were able to learn it so naturally, it amazes me to this day. When I moved here, I didn't know any French, so I had to learn as I went, and I'm still struggling after 5 years. So imagine that. They were able to start learning 2 new languages at the same time from the moment they were born. We went to Brazil last May, and everyone in Brazil was so in awe of how natural they sounded and how their accent was just like a native Brazilian. So it was truly amazing to see this being revealed before my eyes. It was actually the first time that they were visiting my family after they started talking. So I was really grateful and proud of them to see how well they did and how everyone was able to communicate with them. So what are the best strategies that we can implement from day one or as soon as possible, as soon as your kid starts talking, or even preferably before they start talking, that can boost their learning of this language? Well, from my own personal experience, I'm just going to tell you what worked for me. So there may be other strategies that people prefer, but in my case, the strategy that has 100% worked for me is the one parent, one language strategy, which I'm sure a lot of the people have heard about, which means I only speak one language and that's it. I don't switch. I don't mix 2 languages at the same time. For instance, I speak English. I avoid at all costs of speaking English to them because we live in Canada and they're going to learn English anyway. Actually, they are already learning English in school. I chose to focus on 100% Portuguese because I want them to learn it, to keep learning, and to never stop learning the language, especially because there's very little Portuguese influence here in Canada. The other way that I found that has been very helpful is switching cartoons, because they do watch cartoons. Not that I'm advising people to give your kids a lot of screen time. That's not it. But when they do watch a cartoon, I always prefer to find a cartoon that has dubbing in Portuguese. Since they started watching cartoons, I've always switched to dubbed in Portuguese. And when there's no option, it's okay. Recently, I have actually let them watch cartoons in English, and that actually has helped them learn a lot of vocabulary in English, which is also a good thing. But the one thing that I avoid doing is showing them cartoons in French. I avoid that at all costs because they already spend the whole day in daycare speaking French. Their dad speaks French. So in the house, I prefer to keep it 100% Portuguese and occasional English on TV, but absolutely zero French, because I know that that is the language that's more predominant in Quebec. So I always have this nagging fear that if I started showing them things in French or even daring to speak something to them in French, they're gonna decide to switch back to French and only speak French with me. I was terrified of them looking at me and starting to speak French with me. And I'm like, how am I ever going to bond with them? It doesn't feel natural to me to speak in French with them. So a second strategy that I normally implement on a daily basis is I avoid speaking French, in my case, in front of them. So let's say sometimes it's unavoidable. If I'm talking to one of their educators and she only speaks French, I try to keep the conversation to a minimum because I don't want them to find out that I speak some French. So it might sound silly, but it's just my way of still keeping them oblivious about how much French I actually understand and speak, because that's the main language they speak all day anyway. So it would be very easy for them to fall back into the country language and figure out that, oh, mommy speaks French, so let's just speak French with her. She's going to understand what we're saying. So it might sound like a stupid strategy, but it actually works. When I must speak some French in front of them, when it's inevitable, I dumb it down a lot. I make it sound like I'm struggling to say something, and I try not to speak too fast. I really dumb it down to make it sound like, oh, I know barely anything in French. I can just say a few words. Because I've noticed, this is from other couples that I've observed, and some friends or some people that I just noticed in the park, bilingual families. Let's say there's a Brazilian parent who wants to teach Portuguese to their kid, but she communicates in French with her husband. And the kid is being raised in Quebec and learning French. So what happens is the kid ends up not bothering to speak Portuguese to the mother because he already figured out that the mother speaks fluent French. That's exactly what I'm trying to avoid. And for all the families that have more than one kid and you're trying to teach two kids at the same time your mother tongue, that's my case. It is so beautiful and rewarding to see my kids interacting with each other in Portuguese. It's just so cute. I've noticed that when they're in a French environment, like daycare, they interact with each other in French. But when they're around me, they interact with each other in Portuguese. So it's something that I hope that parents who are attempting to teach kids their mother tongue don't give up. A third strategy that I find useful is arranging play dates with kids that speak the same language that you're trying to teach. In my case, my kids, they have a little friend because her parents are Brazilian. It's a very easy language for her to use on a daily basis. And in that case, obviously, it's a lot easier to raise kids, even in a foreign country, if both parents are from the same nationality, if both parents speak the same language. In my case, the mom is Brazilian and the dad is Canadian, French Canadian. That's why there are actually more challenges for parents that come from different countries, but it's not impossible. Like I said, my kids are the living proof. And in order to arrange play dates with kids that speak the same language that you're trying to teach, obviously, it's important to join communities. I find it very useful to go on Facebook and join the communities of your home country. And you will definitely find a lot of families with kids in there. And a lot of the families both of them are immigrants from that country that you were born, which is even easier. It's much easier to have kids that are 100% fluent in Portuguese or whatever language you speak. And then they will be able to grow up interacting with other kids and knowing that other kids also speak the second language they're learning. It's not just mommy that speaks it. So the more people you insert, the bigger the community from your home country you find, the better it will be for your kids and for you. And you all are going to reap so many benefits from that. The third point is, what are the reasons why some parents may fail at the mission of teaching their kid a second language? So the top reasons that I see, especially in multilingual couples or parents, is the fear of one parent, normally the immigrant, of speaking in their mother tongue to their kid because they don't want their husband to feel lost or not understand what they're saying. And this is honestly just something that is in our minds. It's not something that, unless you have a very difficult partner who forbids you from speaking that language, in that case, it's a whole different story. That's more of a relationship issue. And by the way, a serious one, because nobody should be forbidding anyone to speak their own language. Anyway, that's a topic for another day. But what I see is sometimes it's an internal fear that maybe the partner is not even aware of, the dad is not even aware of, or the mom. So I hear this a lot from couples I talk to, immigrants, moms or dads that I talk to in parks. They tell me the same thing. Oh, you know what? I tried to speak my language with my kid, but it's not working because it's inconsistent. My partner doesn't understand my language, so I feel kind of embarrassed and I don't feel comfortable. Honestly, I feel a bit sad hearing that because it's a wasted gift. You have a gift. The best thing would not to waste it, right? But like I said, I'm not here to judge. People make their own decisions and make people know why they make the decisions they make. So another top reason that I see why some parents may fail in the mission of teaching their kid a second language is inconsistency. The lack of consistency is a very big reason why some kids don't learn their mom or dad's native tongue, especially if you keep switching languages. If you're mixing, let's say, Spanish with English, let's say you're in an English-speaking country, you're mixing Spanish with English and not speaking 100% Spanish, that is going to affect your kid's capacity of learning that second language because they will get confused. This is why I don't really agree with other teaching strategies, mixing, translating, speaking two languages at the same time with your kid. It might work with some people. I don't know. What I'm saying is a one parent, one language. I find it the most effective one. But let me know in the comments if you tried a different strategy of teaching your kid a language and it was successful. I would love to hear about it. But being inconsistent, in my opinion, would probably disrupt a lot of their learning, a lot of the vocabulary. So another factor that I see of reasons why some parents even give up while they're trying to teach their kid a second language is that it's not that they're not speaking their native tongue with their kid. It's the fact that they're speaking the predominant language so well to the point that the kid notices and then they don't feel the need to try and learn your mother tongue. And I see this a lot. And this is actually a very unfortunate thing because I see a lot of immigrant parents trying so hard, speaking their native tongue 100% of the time. But because the kid figured out that the mom or dad speaks the country language, they don't really try hard enough. They don't feel the need to be speaking that second language with the mom. For these parents, I'd say, don't ever give up because if anything, at least your kid is going to understand that second language, even if they don't speak it fluently growing up. But if you keep persisting in that language, eventually it's going to pay off. It might take longer because of these obstacles, but just the fact that your kid will be able to understand it 100%, that is already a huge gift. But what I wouldn't recommend is giving up. Even if your kid responds to you in a different language, don't give up. And I have a bonus tip, which would be if you want to teach your kid a second language, it doesn't have to be necessarily your mother tongue. For instance, in my case, if I was living in Brazil right now and their dad is speaking French and I'm speaking Portuguese, I would not be speaking Portuguese to them in Brazil. I would definitely be speaking English. It was my plan for the longest time when I was younger and living in Brazil I had my mindset that once I had kids, I would teach my kids fluent English. But never I imagined that I would be living in a different country. For that plan to happen, I was imagining that I was going to have my kids in Brazil and be living in Brazil. I would have not spoken Portuguese to them. And even though English is not my native tongue, I would still want them to learn it. And if I can speak it well enough, I would have loved to pass that down to them. And the only reason I don't speak with them English right now is for all the reasons mentioned previously. I don't want them to lose the Portuguese. It's the minority language right now. So it's very important for them to keep speaking just Portuguese with me. But in the future, who knows? If I ever go back to Brazil and live in Brazil, I would be happy to just start teaching them English there and only speak English with them. So you don't have to teach your kid just your mother tongue. It could be whatever second language or third language that it could be any language that you speak well enough. If these tips have helped you so far, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe and leave your comment and your inspiration to all the community of bilingual parents out there. And I would love to hear your story and how you're raising your kids in a bilingual manner. I hope this helps, and I'll see you next time.